Fucking hate earbuds. I'm like talking and I feel drunk.
I thought you had proper headphones, Jay.
I do. Actually, you know what? Why don't I fucking use those?
All right, here we go. What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of VCC Live. This is episode 41. I just want to start by saying, may the 4th be with you.
Yeah.
Also with you.
Thank you.
Fuck yeah.
That's in the title. It's not really something we're going to talk about. I just thought it would be cool to put clickbait, you know. Tonight we're going to be talking about... Yeah,
Kylo Ren all night.
Wear it.
Ooh.
You wouldn't be able to hear me.
Oh, yeah, never
Dude,
mind.
that rocks.
It's pretty awesome. Don't ask how much it cost.
How much was it?
I'm not going to tell you.
Sorry about my
You would
white
think I'm
balance.
crazy.
I can't get my camera shit to work properly. So anyway, maybe as the sun goes down behind me, it'll fix itself. I don't know. But tonight we're going to be talking about several things that happened this past week. Many of you may have seen, some of you may not have seen. The village of Hartland, Wisconsin had some hearings this past weekend, and we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about Cole Bishop amendment into the funding bill that did not make it. Something I saw yesterday that came out that Kurt from Cloud Chasers Inc. shared 81% of wholesale tax in Michigan proposed.
Yeah.
So,
Great.
yeah, that's all great stuff. And Matt is joining us in chat tonight. He said he's not feeling well and didn't want to appear on camera, so he's just going to be with us in the chat. Jay, what's going on, man?
I'm just getting ready for a weekend of partying at the National Vape Expo in Connecticut, starting tomorrow.
Cool.
That's about it. I'm going to be on a hunt for the perfect buffalo wing all weekend.
In Connecticut. Nice.
In Connecticut.
Is that what they're known for? Is their famous buffalo wings?
No.
Oh. Okay.
Not at all.
So really, the best buffalo wing in Connecticut could be like a very mid-range buffalo wing anywhere else.
Absolutely.
But he's going to find it.
But I'm going to find that mediocre
He's
buffalo
going to find
wing.
the most mediocre buffalo wing in New England.
Good.
I mean, buffalo
gotta have
wings aren't
goals.
hard.
You gotta have
Let's be
goals,
honest.
Jay.
Buffalo wings are not difficult. Like if you fuck up a buffalo wing and you own a restaurant, just fold up.
I feel like you have never been to Hooters before because
I
their
have.
buffalo wings, I believe, are actually toxic. I believe it's deep fried garbage.
No,
I'm not
well,
sure.
you know what the problem with Hooters is?
Everything.
It's not the waitresses, but it's the they use breading. You do not bread buffalo wings.
Yeah. Oh, well,
But
whatever they're doing, it was the worst shit I've ever had.
it's awful. It's
I don't
awful.
like
But they now
Hooters
have
wings.
what they call naked wings, but you have to specifically request them. It's like, hi, could you do your buffalo wings correctly?
Yeah.
You know, you actually have to request them.
Can
So-
you stop fucking these up so bad?
Yeah, right away, sir.
Yeah,
And then
right
they bring
away.
you some actual buffalo wings.
Sorry, Kev.
Yeah.
You're getting off.
I was just going to say hi to Matt, who did join us in the chat. Appreciate it, Matt.
Let's
So
check
Matt will
the
be
chat.
offering commentary in the chat tonight. Again, he's not feeling well, not joining us on camera. Can you hear me any better now, Bill? I brought the mic closer. I turned the gain up a little. I don't know. People always having trouble with my audio, and we're all wearing headphones tonight, so I don't know why that is. But
I told you it wasn't me.
I just don't want it to be like get so loud that it starts breaking the speakers or whatever. Anyway, Nick, what's going on with you, man? How are you?
I'm good. You know, this has been a really crazy week. Just an overall crazy week. Not even like, I mean, yeah, legislatively, you know, it's been a crazy week, but just work-wise, it's been a crazy week. Dwayne's flying out tomorrow because we have some work to do, so I get to spend the weekend with Homeboy OC. So that'll be amazing, but otherwise it's just business as usual. A whole lot of videos and vlogging and juice and all sorts of nonsense.
Very cool. Well, you get to hang out with your bro.
Yeah, my own bay.
Your bay.
Yeah.
Matt says, sorry, couldn't make it. Bad period this month. Sorry, Matt. We hope you take some
Yeah.
Milo and feel better there,
That's
buddy.
rough. That's a rough situation, Matt.
Yeah, so I turned up my volume and gain. I don't know. It looks like it's metering out here. So anyway, you guys just have to turn up your volume if you want to hear what I got to say, I guess. I wanted to edit this title real quick, too, because I want to put something that I'm pretty proud of that we did this month. And I'm going to show it to you guys really quickly here. I've just been doing the same thing, too. Same thing that these, we all have routines. And working on VCC Tampa, working on breTH Magazine, which we finally got out. And I'm going to flip over and show you guys really quick here. Rob says you sound great. Can hear you better now. Okay, well, maybe turning up the volume or the thing worked, so we'll try that. Let's go to full monitor here, and I'll show you guys. If you go to breTHmagazine.com, BRETH magazine.com, we only had we had a limited amount of sponsors, so we did not, or advertisers, so we did not get to print this edition. It's going to be online, but the good part about it for you all is it's absolutely free, and you can download it in PDF form. You can share it around and check out the articles and stuff. I'm probably not going to go. Well, maybe I can go full screen. I don't know if you guys can see it in full screen, but we have some really good articles in here this month, and these are all clickable links, so you can click on them and go right to the article. This intro, some advertising stuff that we had from some of our advertisers. Great article by Brian Foydick. You got to check it out. He writes really well, and he has some great information here about vapor seizing the moral high ground, and he kind of tells you about what that is in his article. We had an article here from JT, Jonathan Thomas from Vape Stars Network. He's been in the UK. Well, he's back now, but he was in the UK for like 3 or 4 months, I think. And he kind of gives some perception about the differences about vaping market in the UK versus the United States. And it's very, very good stuff to read. This was an article that I wrote called Reprieve for the Vaping Industry. And if you go back to the cover, you'll see how can the vaping industry come back from a death sentence. And this kind of tells you information about what's been going on and the different strategies that are in play right now and stuff like that. So check that out if you haven't had a chance to read it yet. We had a really long article here, but filled with great information from Bill Tarling, talking about everything under the sun to do with basically vaping advocacy and the opposition and strategies and all kinds of cool stuff. So some more ads there. We had a good article here from the consumer standpoint from Albert and Jessica Harper. I also put clickable links in here. I thought this was a really good idea since we had a little bit of space left over, so people can just click right here and it'll take them to find who the representative is to support HR 1136. And then we have an article here finally by Patrick Rife, Sons of Liberty Radio. It used to be known as Noct Noir, called Innovation with Amnesia. Some really good perspective here on how we've advanced in the vaping industry. And then on the back we did a breathe. So hopefully you guys were able to see that okay. But yeah, it was pretty crazy trying to get that all put together and never having worked much with Adobe InDesign before, figuring out how to do all that stuff. And hopefully it gets easier from here. And maybe we'll pick up some more advertisers so we can actually print it for the next issue. If not, I'm happy with the digital format. I think it turned out great. It's, everyone uses their phones and tablets and computers anymore anyway. So yeah. And
cool.
Yeah, I think it turned out really well. I don't know if you guys had a chance to read the articles yet, but you should check them out.
It's pretty. I only read it for the articles.
That's good because we didn't have any naked chicks in it. But some of the stuff we covered, that I covered at least in the main article, is some of the stuff we're going to be talking about here tonight. And let's start with the Cole-Bishop Amendment because that's pretty cut and dried. So the Cole-Bishop Amendment was something that was that the industry was trying to get into the 2017 budgetary package, and they delayed at the end of the Congress delayed it at the end of last year, and they extended the deadline until the end of April. End of April came. They passed, like we talked about last week, the 1-week stopgap measure, and then sometime over the weekend, in closed doors, behind closed doors, a few key senators got together and met about certain riders and stuff that were going to be attached to the remainder of the 2017 budgetary package. And Cole-Bishop, the amendment that would change their grandfather date, did not make it into the final spending bill. That That doesn't mean, again, I posted this on Facebook the other day. It doesn't mean that it was a loss. It was a loss in respect that we didn't get the predicate date changed now, but I think we got a lot closer to getting it done than we would have a year ago, or certainly, or 2 years ago. So we are making advances and inroads with politicians at the federal level. And it just means that we're going to, I mean, it's possible that it could be included in when they start work on the next budget, and that would be towards the end of September, I would imagine, because October is when they would have to have something else to continue funding the federal government. So I'm sure you guys have seen lots of comments and stuff on that this week. What's your take? What do you think about that, guys?
I suppose I wasn't surprised. I mean, they basically just got rid of all the riders on the budget, like, or 90% of them. They just dropped them. So I don't even know if they specifically discussed Cole Bishop, but I think it was just like a blanket kind of get rid of all the riders. We'll pass the budget and we'll deal with it again in 3 months. Mm-hmm. Not a huge deal in my mind. I mean, we still have the standalone Cole Bishop bill, along with the Duncan Hunter bill. You know, so there's still plenty of fronts for us to fight on. But still, I mean, it's disappointing. Like it would have been a nice win for us short term to actually have it pass. So
yeah,
not the end of the world.
Nick, what do you think?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's if I'm being completely 100% honest here, I've been operating under the impression that the original Cole Bishop amendment wasn't like a viable pathway anymore anyway, simply because it's been around so long and hasn't done anything. And when I heard that it didn't make it through the thing, I was surprised. I'm like, oh, well, that's a huge bummer. But really, I'm just back to where I was before, with going under the assumption that it wasn't going to pass anyway. Like, it was a shock and I was bummed, but then I realized, well, I've been thinking this all along anyway, so I wasn't personally advocacy minded, like relying on the Cole Bishop amendment, like putting all my eggs in that particular basket, if that makes any sense. Basically, I'm a jerk. That's all this.
No, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, I thought as well, as the process went along, and the longer that went on from the time that it was introduced until the time that it was finally decided whether or not it would be included, I thought that the chances were getting lower and lower as well. And that's why I put in the article that I wrote, the main article, that while there is still a very remote chance, I think that as each passing day, basically it diminishes even further. So, but like Jay said, there is still HR 1136, which is basically legislative form of that amendment. And the good part about it is it's not tied to the financial package, which is going like this. It's constantly up and down.
Right. It's an up or down vote.
Right.
On that
I mean, it's very. The financial, every year that they're behind on the budget, the federal government does a very bad job of budgeting the money. And it's always contentious, and there's always a roller coaster ride. So I think that the HR 1136 bill, being a standalone bill and gaining support on both sides of the aisle, is a much better vehicle for us to focus on. And we have to focus on it now because the Cole Bishop Amendment is it's not an option at the moment. So keep calling your representatives. Don't let it deter you. Make sure that you're asking them to co-sponsor HR 1136, and we'll keep pressing on that. That's pretty much my takeaway from that.
And Duncan Hunter has a bill number now.
Yeah,
as
2194. We'll mention it briefly. That's so far out. I don't think that's going to have any effect right now. Yeah, I was actually the first hashtag on Facebook. I wrote a post in hashtag HR2194. So, I don't know if that.
Look at you.
I don't know if that gives me any fame or anything. Like, or people.
Yeah, you're basically vape famous now.
I'm basically.
You famous are.
Because I can hashtag HR2194.
Yeah.
But anyway, in the same day that we heard about the Cole Bishop Amendment not making it into the budget, like something like 10 or 12 hours later, we heard about the FDA delaying, and their quote for pushing everything forward basically 3 months was because of litigation, and also they want to work with incoming new leadership, which would be Dr. Scott Gottlieb once he's confirmed and gets his place as the FDA commissioner. They're going to want his take probably on the direction he's going to take the FDA in as it relates to electronic cigarettes and vaping and the deeming regulations. So everything got pushed by 3 months. All in one day, we had a failure to get Cole Bishop Amendment passed and an extension by 3 months. And I made a post that same day on Facebook that I thought that this was a very telling thing. And some people said don't read too much into it, but this is, again, just my opinion. I think that the FDA is starting to realize that they don't have the manpower to enforce the FDA deeming regulations. They're not prepared to, and they're not even sure if that's the direction they want to continue to head in. So what are your thoughts on that? If you have any thoughts in chat, just make sure you put them up.
For me, it was just it was a slight sigh of relief. I was looking at having to go through the registration process in June, and now that's been pushed off. So, it just from a personal standpoint, it's a bit of a sigh of relief, because I'm not looking forward to the day when I have to raise my hand and say, "Hello, FDA, here I am."
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a fan of that. I'm a pretty hardcore libertarian, and for me as a person to basically just give up my anonymity to an agency of the government that doesn't have a good track record, I'm not a fan of it. So it definitely, it was a win in my book to have to, to be able to push that off for another few months.
See, I don't feel like the FDA, I get the vibe from the FDA. This is just a gut feeling that they never really intended to really enforce all of this. I feel like they were operating under the assumption that all they had to do was release the deeming rule, and that would be enough. That all these vape shops and vape companies would start running scared, start closing down, closing up shop, not even bother with the PMTA. I mean, who has $1 million right now to get a product through the PMTA?
Right, one SKU.
One SKU that won't even get approved. I think that they knew that this was ridiculous, and they had no intention of enforcing it. And now that it's coming down to it, I feel like they're scrambling and going, well, shit, now we have to find a way to enforce this or not, or pull it back.
Well, I don't think they expected quite as much resistance as they're getting.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you.
Yeah, I think they probably thought of it, they thought of this industry more like kind of like bath salts, like that whole scare. Like eventually,
Right.
It's a fad. It'll just kind of go away, and we can get ahead of it, and hold up our signs in our own little parade, and do that whole fucking thing. But ultimately, this industry is here to stay, if we're allowed to.
Yeah, Matt makes a good point. He says, I feel like we're going to have some big wins outside of Congress, and then this will force Congress to pass something like the Hunter bill. I agree. I think there's going to be either some administrative release or some judicial relief coming soon. It's very tough to say when, but I think it'll be soon. And I think once we see some of that relief from the deeming regulations, then Congress is going to have to take a hard look at how to regulate vaping and realize that it's not a tobacco product and it doesn't fit in that category. It does need to be redefined as a harm reduction product, and maybe even look at something like the Hunter bill or some other form of legislation that we haven't even seen yet. Who knows? But definitely it requires its own category, and it requires its own legislation and its own way to be regulated, because it is a harm reduction device. It is not tobacco. It's not combustible tobacco. So, good point, Matt. Appreciate that. It's really bothering me that my color is off. I mean, it just really bothers me. It looks like
you look sad.
I know. It looks like one of those
blue.
It looks like one of those cold filters you see for
You need a buffalo one.
Yeah.
I need a buffalo.
Do you want us to all do that, Jay, so you don't feel so left out?
No, it's okay.
I mean, because that's a possibility.
You guys look good in color. You guys are usually black and white.
I might just do it anyway, just because.
Okay, just mess.
Oh, you're gonna make me do it.
Okay, well, no, I'm not going to go full black and white. I'm going to go blue to match Kevin.
Oh,
sweet.
So that we can.
Well, Jay, you can go black and white. Then we can have blue on black, like the Kenny Wayne Shepherd song.
Well, let me see what I can do here.
I think I can do a thing
on the fly.
While they're adjusting their camera settings, let me just remind you guys, if you haven't already.
You're much more blue.
Yes.
Sorry.
Please remember to hit that like button down there. We've got a lot more people watching than have liked, so make sure you hit the like button, please. And also don't forget to share the link we'll have it posted up probably by tomorrow around noon. And so another thing that happened over this past weekend, this has been a busy week for the vaping industry. And I touched on it again in the article I wrote in Breathe. If you want to look more in depth into that, check it out, breathemagazine.com. I'll put the link in the description. But the village of Hartland, Wisconsin, which is home to Johnson Creek Enterprises, one of the first, if not the first, I think, e-liquid manufacturers to sell e-liquid in the United States. I guess they had some meetings with and discussed with Johnson Creek the impact the FDA deeming regulations were going to have on their company. And obviously for a small village, I think it's less than 50,000 people in the village of Hartland, Wisconsin, that impact would be massive on their local economy. So, Jay, you actually look like a Smurf now. Sorry, I just saw you go.
It's just Willy Wonka.
Yeah, sorry guys about the camera settings, but they did it just to join in with me. Anyway, they decided they were going to go with a thing called coordination, and they're working with there's another advocacy group out there. I have to remember exactly what the name of it is. Just give me 1 second, I'll tell you. Sorry, I wasn't prepared for this part.
It's okay. Are you thinking of the EVCA?
The EVCA, yeah. The Electronic Vapor... You know what this acronym's for? Electronic Vaping Coalition of America. They're working with them, who got on board, I think, a lead counsel, and it's a gentleman who seemed to be very knowledgeable. He's a former federal prosecutor named Fred Kelly Grant. And they did a series of hearings. It was like several hours of testimony from, advocates and attorneys and stuff from all over the United States. It was just excellent information. Even if it goes nowhere beyond where it's at right now, you should watch them just for the amount of information that they gave out during the hearings. But Fred Kelly Grant outlined how coordination works, and I'll give you a really brief definition. So basically, in 1976, there was the National Environmental Policy Act, and in it there was a stipulation that any federal regulations brought on by an agency of the federal government had to coordinate with localities at the local level. So like villages and counties and cities and stuff, to see how the regulation would impact them and their citizens in that locality. It requires them to. It doesn't say that you might, you may, or whatever. It says you must. They're required to do this, and if the locality can show that they were not coordinated with, then the federal agency typically sets aside the regulation and they have to start from scratch. And that was the argument and the legal, I guess, kind of not really a loophole. It's not a loophole at all. I mean, it's an actual law, but it's the legal avenue that they decided they were going to try to take with the village of Hartland to do something to try to get these regulations off the back of the industry and save the jobs in their town and all the revenue that Johnson Creek Enterprises brings into their area. So I'm going to go over to full screen real quick and show you guys, and I'll put this in the description. But if you go to YouTube and you type in Village of Hartland, you'll find these hearings. It's these four with all the views. It's funny, they only had a couple of their videos up. They had like 57 views, 89 views, and then you get to the vaping one, it's like 1,800, 4,500, 1,300, and 1,200. So definitely go through and check those out. There is a ton of great information in there, and again, even if nothing happens with this, you're going to learn a lot. So what they did was they had the hearings, they found a bunch of evidence, and then the village commissioners had a vote on Monday, and they decided that the FDA did not coordinate with them, and they're going to create this package of information and findings and send it to Secretary Tom Price at the Health and Human Services, and also to a host of other people that they're going to send it to. And if they get a response back on that from the FDA, I mean, it can go two ways. The FDA will either say, okay, yeah, we agree with you, we did not coordinate with you, and we're setting aside the deeming regulations. Or they can say, yeah, we disagree with you, we didn't have an obligation to do that, and in which case the village of Hartland would go to court and have a decision on that from a federal court.
Right.
I don't know if you guys watched any of this, Jay and Nick, Matt in the comments. I know Matt, I think, did as well. But what do you guys, what did you think of the proceedings? What did you think of Fred Kelly Grant and everything that you heard? And what do you think of this approach? Do you think it has a shot in hell? I mean,
Nick, you go first.
Yes, I think it has a shot in hell. I think it definitely does. And I don't remember if it's if it's Grant, is that the main guy behind it? Grant.
Well, Grant was a facilitator of it, and he's the one. He's like 83 years old, and he's done, I think, 40 or 80. I think it was 80 of these cases over his career in the last 25 years, and he's never lost one. But keep in mind, those were all dealing with land issues. They were not dealing with the FDA and something like this. But he made a pretty good nexus in his arguments about how it could relate to this. So anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
Right. What I don't know if it's Grant, but I know that one of the people, I think it's Grant. I know that one of the people that is really important in this, really crucial, like the chairperson or something, he is heavily invested in the vapor industry, and not like as a vendor or anything like that. He's heavily invested because his mother died months ago from emphysema and COPD, and he's very invested in bringing, vaping as a harm reduction thing to the United States. And so just seeing his passion behind it, it kind of makes me go, all right, yeah, like I get stoked. I'm like, okay, this is now we're getting angry, like we're getting passionate. I feel like it's going to be great.
Jay, what do you think?
Well, I listened to the presentation. I listened to Grant's opening remarks. I didn't watch, I just didn't have the time this week to watch all 8 hours of testimony.
Yeah.
Honestly, my initial impression was that, while they're all stating factual information, it seems like we have a good leg to stand on at this, with this coordination, local level type thing. Just my gut feeling is that this is like hardcore libertarian sovereign citizen tinfoil hat kind of shit.
Well, I mean, I would agree with you, Jay. If he hadn't won, if he didn't have an 80-0 record, I would agree with you.
And I would love to look at those 80-0 cases. But I would think that most of those are probably low-hanging fruit type of cases, like dealing with one parcel of land, one individual.
No, I think we're
talking about an entire or two entire industries that represent billions upon billions of dollars. I don't know. I just don't know. I can't be that optimistic about this. I mean, any sort of wrench we can put in the works in front of the FDA, I think is a positive. Yep. And I would not like just run out and say this is shit. We shouldn't be promoting it. No,
right.
Any wrench we can throw in the works is great. And if we can do that at the local level, times, if Hartland, if other localities follow what Hartland does, I mean, that's a huge wrench in the works. If they're just going to be like piling on litigation, against the FDA for doing this, great. But ultimately, philosophically, it just feels to me like tinfoil hat kind of shit.
Yeah. Okay, so Matt's in the chat, and Matt said, kind of thought it was all a joke, but then after watching all 3 hearings and reading up on coordination, I'm cautiously optimistic. The FDA can fight it, but it may be the nudge they need to trash the regs. And that's kind of where I stand on it, too. I don't think that it's going to get to Tom Price. He's going to read these findings from the village of Hartland, which, as Bill pointed out in chat, is only like 9,200 people, and say, oh, you know what, you're right. But I think it's going to be a combination of things coming from all different angles. The Cyclops Vapor lawsuit, the Nicopure Right to Be Smoke-Free lawsuit, all the other lawsuits that are out there. If this comes to them and they say, hey, if we don't get some relief on this, we're going to sue. I think they're going to realize that they don't want to spend all the resources they have. That they don't want to spend the resources that they could be using on something else at the FDA that actually is going to make, a difference with public health. And they might just pull the deeming regulations because of that. So, I mean, I guess ultimately it remains to be seen what happens and what the response is from the people in D.C. when they get these findings. What's going to happen with it? I know Bill watched them all, and he actually had a comment here and says coordination is a very, very long shot, though still possible. But important part is decision can be used as legal precedents reference in other battles too. Exactly. So it's not going to. I don't know. Maybe it will end up being the savior and the silver bullet, but I kind of doubt it. But it does add to the fire and the passion that the vapors have about proving, and not just vapors at this point. Now it's an actual government entity saying, hey, you're going to hurt our local government. You're going to hurt our citizens and our jobs and funding in our local government. So I think, again, the more we can add to that fuel, I think the weaker their case gets. And they're going to have to probably take, and again, we have a completely different leadership role right now at Health and Human Services than we did last year when the DME regs came in. We're about to have a new FDA commissioner. And I think that they're going to look at all this and compile it together and say, why are we fighting Obama's fight? We're not even for this shit.
Right. And that's a huge part of the equation. Like we need to no longer be the path of least resistance, like for more revenue or, for more backroom deals. We've always, smokers, throughout, the last, 4 decades, it's always been the path of least resistance. Like just tax them more, give them less freedom, this and that. And I think as an extension of that, vapors have always kind of fallen under that. We're low hanging fruit. We're easy to attack because nobody gives a shit about us. But you know what? If the path to infringing on our rights becomes a little more difficult, they're going to move on to something else.
Right.
And that's where something like this Hartland project, for lack of a better word, that's where something like this could be extremely helpful, especially if it spreads to other localities, because they're going to have to deal with it at a certain level. Even if it's just filing extra forms, in a courthouse, that's still something that's going to have to be dealt with. And if eventually we just become too much of a pain in the ass for them to come after, they're going to move on to something else.
Right. But that's why I said they're not going to, the current people in these leadership roles aren't going to want to continue fighting Obama's battles. I mean, they didn't even like his policies to begin with or agree with regulation as much as he did. Bill Tarley makes a good point. Says, now can you imagine if 100 other small towns did the same thing? That's what would be needed for it to snowball in order to have an impact. So yeah, I agree with that.
Right.
If there are other towns or villages or counties out there that have large e-liquid manufacturers that are a huge part of their local economy and have a lot of people working for them and just directly impact the local economy, if a lot of them did it, it would be even that much more meaningful. Matt says, what I'm wondering is, does the FDA have to act on it right away, or can they just pretend they haven't seen it and ignore it? No, I don't. I mean, they can probably, Matt, but what's going to happen then is the Village of Hartland would file the lawsuit, and that's something you can't ignore. So then they would have to meet with their attorneys. So basically, the Justice Department is the United States of America's attorney. They would meet with them, and that would brief them on the case, and they would have to go to court. So that would be the next step, assuming the FDA doesn't look at it and say, you know what, this is just too much bullshit. We're out. Bill says, Matt, I expect the FDA to do just the same as their response to Senator Johnson. They will just ignore it. Hartland as much as possible, which can also work in our favor. I don't think so, Bill. I think that we're going to see some response. This is not the same FDA that ignored Senator Johnson. This is a completely new administration with different leadership, and I think especially once Scott Gottlieb gets in there, I think we're going to see some more proactive responses.
I think I agree with Bill. Short term, I think they will ignore it. Until it becomes a pressing issue, and then they will address it. I mean, Bill. I think Bill's referring to just the short term. They are going to ignore it until it becomes a legal issue where they have to address it.
Again,
I mean, it's 6 to 1, half a dozen the other, but I do think he's right.
I would agree with you if you were right. I'm just kidding. I don't think so. I mean, I think that this is a different administration and a different thought process from the people who ignored Senator Johnson last year. It's completely different. But I mean, it's yet to be seen. We're all just speculating right now. But
sure,
they did something. They actually did something. A local government in the United States of America got off their fucking ass and did something. And I think it's brilliant. So applause to you, Hartland. However it works out. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely,
We
absolutely.
appreciate
Yes.
Any other comments? Anyone in chat watched it? Do you have any questions or anything? I definitely encourage you all to go watch it, even if for nothing else, but the great amount of information that it contains from the testimony from all the people who testified and gave information. It was very good. Yeah, Matt says probably depends on how much it's in the news too. Yeah, I mean that's absolutely right.
To an extent, absolutely. Yeah. But I just think they're going to put it off for as long as they can, as long as they legally can, and or PR wise, as long as they can.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see some major news outlets pick it up, but I don't think it's happened yet. I don't know if that's part of their strategy or approach.
It's too esoteric for general media consumption. Certainly.
Right. Now, if a mod would have blown up at the hearings while they were testifying.
Oh yeah, right. It'd be all over.
Why didn't someone work that in there? Battery vents at vaping hearing. That would have been ironic. Okay, so the last thing that we had scheduled to talk about, and I don't know how much of this you guys have seen, but actually, Bill had a final thought here. He says, "What I like most was council had no concept of vaping to begin with. By the FDA logic, made no sense to them, and they felt vaping should be encouraged as an alternative." Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they were all pretty much ignorant of vaping at the beginning, and by the end, you could tell they had listened to the testimony intently and were educated on as to what it was. Jay, we can only see through the glass, buddy. It looks like you're Alien versus Predator. Oh, I'm watching.
That's why I was doing that, because Nick was commenting in chat about my green cup.
Oh, nice. All right, so we're going to go full monitor here, and I'm going to show you guys something. Have you guys seen this yet? I think it just came out yesterday. Michigan has a new bill introduced. I guess they felt left out from all the other bills going off across the country. But this one, again, is I think it's redefining what vapor products are and also imposing an 81% of wholesale tax on e-liquid. So I'll go to full monitor real quick and show you that here. I'm going to go up to the top and show you what it looks like, and we'll put the link in the description. This is from Michigan, House Bill 4578, May 2nd, 2017, introduced by Reps Yanez, yada, 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 and all these other people. So they're amending the Tobacco Products Tax Act, and if you go down to page 9 of the PDF, beginning October 1st, 2018, so it's quite a time from now, but still, it would still go into effect next October, so a year and several months from now, for cigars, non-cigarette smoking tobacco, and smokeless tobacco, including electronic smoking devices, which they defined up earlier, 81% of the wholesale price.
Electronic smoking devices?
Correct.
Yeah, that's
Come
the
on,
language.
man.
That's
they can't even fucking call it the right thing. It's an electronic smoking device.
They did the same thing in Mass.
Correct.
It is not. It's not that. We're safe then because it's not that. We'll be fine.
Right.
Unbelievable, man.
Up earlier in the definitions, they define what it is, and it is they mean vapor products. So whatever they call it for whatever reason, I don't understand the mentality, and we've talked about it several times on here. And I was actually talking to my brother earlier today, and he was asking about it, and I was explaining to him that states. He's like, why are they taxing these products, the same as they would tax cigarettes or something like that? I said, well, originally sin taxes were intended to defray cost of medical care in states where stuff like cigarettes are killing people, and then the government ends up footing the bill for all these expensive cancer treatments and different things like that, radiation and all that stuff to help people who are sick, or breathing treatments for people who are sick from smoking for decades. But almost never do they take those taxes that they collect and put them into a separate fund to help these folks when they get sick. Almost never. I think like 2% of the time or less do they actually take these funds and set them aside. 98% of the time, roughly, they go into the general fund to be spent on whatever the politicians want to spend them on. And it's absolutely disgusting that they are thinking, not just them, but a lot of states this year have come out with the taxes. This is why I'm so adamant against, people say, 5%, a 5 cent per milliliter tax, we could do. Again, I don't agree with any sin tax on these products. They are not a sin product. Nope. There is nothing out there. There's no valid science, nothing to indicate that these will cause the same type of long-term harm that combustible tobacco does. So why in the fuck would you tax them, especially almost doubling the price?
Especially.
I'm asking you. So seriously though, I mean, if they end up making these products as much as cigarettes, smokers are not going to quit smoking. They're going to continue killing themselves with combustible tobacco.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you couple that with all the misinformation that's out there that news outlets are propagating. Yeah, absolutely. Why switch to vaping?
Yeah.
You know, it costs just as much now, and it's even more harmful than smoking.
You could get popcorn lung, Jay. That's not something you joke
I already
about.
have popcorn lung. Listen.
Yeah.
Pop, 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 pop.
Oh, okay, that was
Lame.
That was kind of
good.
That's kind of lame, dude.
That was really bad. But Bill makes a good point. Bill in chat makes a great point and says smoking devices is being used, in multiple states, and it helps them pass the legislation by associating it with a more strongly with smoking.
Right.
If they had put in the bill less harmful vapor products, of course it wouldn't pass. Of course not.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Fucking smoking devices.
It's ridiculous.
A stabilized wood electronic smoking device.
That doesn't smoke or has no combustion.
Yeah.
That's funny. All right. So anyway, if you're in Michigan, HB 4578, make sure you call your representative, your state representative, and oppose that and tell them, just exactly how shitty of a bill it is. Not in those words, of course. Be polite. But tell them that you absolutely disagree with HB 4578. The tax would cripple the industry and probably put a lot of shops out of business, thereby costing them millions of dollars in sales tax revenue and a lot of unemployment. And those are the kinds of things that get through to elected officials. You're going to lose votes in your district. You're going to lose jobs in your district. You're going to lose revenue coming from this district. And you're going to put small business out of business. So if you're against small business, you should vote for HR 4578. However, you support small business, I mean, you don't even have to bring up the health aspect of it because it's going to go in one ear and out the other. They're already stupid enough to call them smoking devices. So focus on the economic impact at the local level and what it's going to do to them in their district. And that's the approach you should take with bills like this that are just ludicrous. So, yeah. I've been rambling on for most of 45 minutes. I'm going to take a break and just let you and Jay talk about something. Hopefully not fidgety shit. Wings. Yeah.
Wings.
Hopefully not fidgety shit.
Fidgety shit.
What, like hands, like spinners?
Well, that's what Jay calls them. He calls them fidgety shit.
Yeah,
fidgety shit.
Fidgety something. Indubitably.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
Be careful though. If those spinners get too associated with vaping, then they're going to be taxed as tobacco products.
They already are. It's just goofy. It's just a goofy product. They try to say, "Oh, it's for ADD." Whatever. It's just another little metal thing that people can overcharge for. That's it.
Yeah, it's a toy.
Yeah,
that's what it is. I think it's amazing. I mean, come on, that's capitalism, man. And creating this thing and everybody it's so dumb. It's a little spinner with your hand. They're so dumb.
But I would support with my life your right to purchase that dumb product.
Yeah. Seriously. And they're fun as fuck, man. They're a toy and they're
I don't
fun.
know if they're that fun.
They are. Trust me.
But yeah, fun as fuck.
Get one. You will be mesmerized.
Rob says, I've been using dubage, the word. Thank you for clarifying that, Rob. I've been using dubage, the word, on the regular lately.
Yeah.
Jay, you're bringing it back, buddy. You're bringing it back. My man.
It's a good word. Yeah. It's a good word. It's better than those stupid fidgety fucking toys.
Castello says, let's get stoned and talk about fidgety shit.
Yeah. That's sure.
Wow. Well, anyone in the chat have any questions about anything we talked about tonight or comments, we'll be happy to address them. We've got about 10 minutes left. Matt, you've been going on about a few things as well, but we didn't get Matt's resting bitch face tonight, so we'll have to just kind of to let's all implement. Let's all try to be.
He's got a resting bitch face.
He does.
I used to have one in high school. When I was skinny, my face rested in a bitch type configuration.
What do you call it now?
Matt always has a slight frown. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
Now that he's not here to defend himself, but he always has
that's what we call it.
He just kind of has that
bored.
He has that kind of face where he just looks bored all the time.
Mm-hmm.
That's just his nature.
Yeah, no, I think he's just sitting there processing information, and he probably is typing right now because he can't just say it, obviously.
On your wiener, Nick. We use the word wiener now. Let's not make that a habit of saying the word wiener.
Yeah, that's not quite as powerful as dubage.
That was popular when dubage was around.
Yeah. Well, plus we're not 9 years old, so
Just put some dubage on my wiener.
no reason to call it a wiener, Nick.
Bill says, question, has Nick seen Phil Bissardo's recent video showing his Lost in Space, Robbie Robot, and Star Trek ships, communicators, and phasers collection?
No. Oh, I haven't seen that. I love Star
wanna
Trek.
See that. I want to see that.
I guess Phil's branching out.
Yeah,
So
good.
I
love Star Trek.
Flit says Matt looks kind of frumpy, but in a sexy way. And Matt says, I have a lack of facial expressions. My face muscles aren't developed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Good point, Rob. Dong. Let's bring back Dong because that's fun.
I could deal with dong.
I could get behind Dong.
Whoa, hey.
Whoa.
Hey.
Yo. Or in front of it.
You heard it here first. That's going to be a
Get
sound.
down with.
If no one else does, I'm going to cut that out and make it a sound clip and maybe do a dubstep remix.
Just auto tune it. And,
I can get behind Dong. Anyway.
I can get behind Dong. Bring back Dong. # bring back Dong.
All right, guys. Well, we're wrapping up a few minutes early. I think we covered a lot that happened this week, and we appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure that you hit the like button down below and share the video link when we get it up tomorrow on the Facebook page. Check out Breathe Magazine. I'll leave a link in the description, as I usually do, brethmagazine.com. Make sure you read the articles in it. There's some great information. Share that around. If you're a vendor and you're interested in attending the Tampa event, now it's co-sponsored by Vapor Shark and Vapor Beast. Make sure you send me an email to admin@vapingcc.com. And one final plug, VCC Liquids is now at the Innovate stores. They have 3 retail locations, so we're excited about that. If you're in Florida, Spring Hill, Winter Park, and Newport Richey. So make sure you check those out. And you can get Namber Juice at namberjuice.com. And you can get
namberjuice.com.
You can get Hingham
wholesale
Hill at
nationwide.
Any local retailer, right, Jay? I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
you don't actually sell online, right? You don't sell online, do you, Jay?
Hell no.
No, you're only
no. You can buy a lot of my stuff at ljesmokes.com.
Okay, so
I'm gonna buy some of your juice, Jay.
No, I don't buy it. Just come out to a convention. I'll give you some.
I've never tried it. Come to Tampa and bring some.
Come to Tampa and bring some.
That's so far.
It's
I know.
It's a 2-hour
far
flight
for me
for
too.
you, but it's a 5-hour flight for him to go to Boston. So, can you give us one of your best of Phil Bissardo's? Because I was watching, I came across like your lip readings, the bad lip readings the other day, and give me it one time. Do that one time.
Can I taste your stuff?
You need to do another one of those, Jay.
Jay, the bad lip reading thing was freaking hilarious, dude. Both
those are like surprisingly difficult to do. That's why I only ever did 2 of them, because that's like 6 hours of work to do a half-assed job. Like seriously, like it's not easy to do. Because yeah, I have plenty of time. But the thing is most YouTube reviewers don't enunciate, like so
right.
They don't their lips are just they're just kind of blah, 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 blah. So it doesn't make any sense. Like, I could just basically put in whatever the hell I want.
Right.
Somebody like Nick or like Phil, it's a little bit easier because they actually know how to enunciate their words.
Yep.
So it makes it a little easier to do. But yeah, it's like 6 hours to do a 30-second clip, and it's just not worth it. I'm not getting paid for this shit. I was just doing it to make fun of us. That's it. So
I think you should do another one. I thought it was freaking hilarious.
Okay. Yeah, should. It was good.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Good.
All right, guys.
Did you check out that new Metallica album yet, Jay?
Oh yeah.
No, but
Come on.
I talked to you over PM over the last few days, and that those clips that you sent me were freaking phenomenal.
Yeah,
like you've definitely turned me on to like a couple of bands that I'm like seriously investigating at this point.
Yeah, dude, get into them. It's good
really
shit.
Good stuff. And I got some stuff to throw back at you too.
Okay, do it. Bring it on.
Yeah.
I want to hear it.
Yeah, but Nick will actually listen.
I'm into it. I trust Jay. I sent Jay some other bands, non-Metallica bands that I've been listening to, and they're so fucking good.
It was like progressive 70s style rock.
Yeah.
Like just like wow, there are bands that are doing this. Like
it's all
seriously?
these I was telling you, it's all these European death metal guys.
Yeah.
They're all getting bored of death metal, and they're starting these like throwback retro 70s fuzz rock bands.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
and they're so good.
That's great stuff, man.
Really?
Definitely great stuff.
Like really catchy.
I love like
really
the Norwegian Swedish rock. I've always loved that. Like Span is one of my favorite bands of all time. I don't know if you've ever heard them. Yeah,
I don't.
Check them out. Oh my god.
Send me them.
Yeah, I'll send you them. I've actually my profile pic on Facebook is with the singer from Span right now.
Oh,
I saw that.
Former singer from Span. He started doing a funk thing.
It's a lot of street cred right there.
Oh sure.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, final thoughts. Hey, come check me out at NVE this weekend at Foxwoods. If you're there, come up to me. If you bash the correct e-liquid manufacturers, I'll give you some free juice.
Not free. You have to charge them a penny.
Yeah, whatever. come get me, FDA.
Ooh. Challenge accepted.
Challenge on the floor.
Yeah.
Nick, what's up, man? Any closing thoughts?
No closing thoughts. Just keep doing what you're doing and listen to Metallica, and then go buy some Namber juice, and that would help me out a lot. That would be great. But otherwise, I think I don't know where I was going with that sentence.
Keep doing what you're doing.
Keep doing what you're doing.
Let's stay positive.
Stay positive.
Do the things.
Listen to Span.
And Metallica's new record.
Yeah. And Metallica's new record.
Metallica, you just got like 450 free pushes of your album. You're welcome.
Yeah. I'm sure they need it too.
Yeah. I'm still using Napster.
Yeah. I was pissed at Metallica for quite a while.
Fuck you, Lars.
Yeah. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for this week. Make sure you hit the like button below, share the link when it gets up. We will see you all next Thursday. Hopefully Matt's feeling better and will be back with us. We appreciate you watching. Remember, you don't have to do everything. You do have to do something. Get involved.